All right, this here is our last example for the notes packet. This one is going to be pretty AP-esque, if you ask me. It's got some variable manipulation, working with those variables, and it's got a lot of good physics here connecting to simple harmonic motion. All right, we've got a pendulum with a mass on the end with length L. That's going to strike a block, and then the block is going to oscillate. Now, the question that they want us to answer is, at what time will the spring first reach its maximum compression? All right, so in order to do that, time 0 is when the pendulum is released. So we need to find out how long it takes this guy to swing down. All right, we will assume that the collision is basically instantaneous, and then that the block then compresses the spring. All right, so we need both the time for the pendulum to swing down, and we need the time for the block to get to its maximum compression there. All right, so let's look at the pendulum first. The pendulum needs to go from this point down to its equilibrium point where it hits that block of mass M. Now, for this, we can use the period of pendulum, because the period of pendulum is 2 pi square root of L over G. Now, in this case, we don't need the full period, because the full period would be to swing down to equilibrium, swing up, back to equilibrium, and then back up to the top again. Now, you may notice that what we want from here down to the bottom is 1/4 of a full period. And so we can just say, well, we're going to take this and we want 1/4 of the full period. So let's just take this whole thing and multiply it by 1/4. So the time 1 is actually pretty easy. It's just going to be that 2 times 1/4, so that's going to be pi over 2 times the square root. The length was given to us as L, and then the G is just G. Now, the second part of this is just as neat, because once that pendulum strikes the block, it's going to have the maximum speed it's going to have, because at this point, the block is at its equilibrium position, right? It's not stretched at all. And so at this point, the block is going to move over to the right, it's going to compress, and then it's going to move back over to the left, it's going to pass its equilibrium point, and then it's going to come right back. So once again, what I'm looking for is 1/4 of that motion. And so I can use the period of a spring. And the period of a spring is equal to 2 pi square root M over K. Now remember that M here is 2M, because you have both the pendulum and the block, which are going to be moving together, right? Because it says it sticks to, it detaches from the pendulum and it sticks to that block M. So what we want, number one, is we want 1/4 of this period, because we want to go from the equilibrium point to the maximum compression, and we want to put in those other numbers. And so therefore, T2 is going to equal 1/4 of that 2 pi, which is pi over 2, times the square root of 2m over k. All we have to do now is put those two together. So therefore, at what time will the spring reach its max compression? Well, it'll be pi over 2. They both have that pi over 2, so let's just factor that out. Square root of L over G plus square root of 2m over k. Ta-da! Now the next part of this question wants us to find the amplitude of the oscillation. Now when I'm thinking about that, you could do one of two different things, right? We could either use conservation of energy for the mass as it hits the block, right before it hits the block. Then we could use conservation of momentum for the ball to hit the block, and then we could use conservation of energy again as the block compresses the spring. And we could find how far it gets compressed. So let's do it, right? Let's do it, okay? So we'll start with, we need to do starting here, ending here, right before it hits the block. So we'll go work equals change in kinetic, change in gravitational, plus change in elastic potential, right? There's no elastic potential change in that first swinging just of the pendulum. There's no work being done because it's just a pendulum, so we know energy is conserved. So we'll go 0 equals kinetic final minus kinetic initial plus UG final minus UG initial. And we can take out the final gravitational potential because we're going to define this as height 0. And we can take out the initial kinetic energy because it's starting at rest. And so now we just have to find those two right there. So we'll go 1/2 mv squared final minus mgh initial. So I am going to need to find that height there. How high did it start? Well, in order to do that, I'm going to make a little triangle here. Okay. Now, the height is going to depend on this angle right here, because I can find the length of this side right here by using the cosine of that theta, right? The length of that side is L cosine theta, which means that this height right here is equal to the total length of L minus that L cosine theta. Okay, so therefore, this is now, once I put all those variables in, this is going to be 1/2 times the mass times the velocity squared minus the mass again times g, because all those variables are variables I'm allowed to use, and then here we're going to go L minus L cosine theta. And now we should be able to solve for that final velocity. Okay, once we find that final velocity, we're going to go ahead and add the mg over the side. I'm going to go ahead and factor out this L2. And so I'm going to have Lmg times 1 minus cosine of theta. And that's going to be equal to 1/2 mv final squared. I'm going to multiply by 2 and divide by m. So that's going to leave me with 2Lg. Those masses, lovely masses, are going to cancel out, times 1 minus cosine of theta. That'll be equal to the final velocity squared, and we'll square root it so that we get that the final velocity is equal to the square root of 2Lg 1 minus cosine theta. All right, so we got the speed right before the collision. All right. Now that we have the speed right before the collision, now we're going to use conservation of momentum to find the speed after. Now, you could probably just reason through this. If you need to go through the equations, you can. But what happens when the ball of mass m strikes the block of mass m? Well, the mass is going to double, right? And you think about momentum. Even if you wrote this out, the initial momentum would be mv initial, which is going to be this speed right here, needs to be equal to m plus m, because they're stuck together, v final. And so hopefully you recognize that when you add those two m's together, you're going to have 2m, and when you divide by the 2m, the m's are going to cancel out, and you're going to end up with 1/2 v initial is equal to v final. So therefore, what we end up with is that our new velocity, this will be the final velocity after the collision takes place, will be half of what we had before. So the 2Lg times 1 minus cosine of theta. So just to review real quick, what we've done is we use conservation of energy to find out as the pendulum swung, and it swung down and hit the block. Right before it hit the block, it had this final velocity down here. And then we use conservation of momentum to find out what the final velocity would be after it got stuck and they started moving together. So now we're going to use that and our conservation of energy once again in order to figure out exactly how far it compresses as we go. All right, so here we go, conservation of energy again. There we go. We know that no work's being done because it's frictionless. The spring is internal to the system. So we'll go ahead and take that out. There's no change in height, so we'll take that guy out. So we'll end up with 0 equals the final kinetic minus the initial kinetic plus the elastic final minus the initial elastic potential. Again, the final kinetic will be 0 because it's going to come to rest when it compresses over here. The initial elastic potential will be 0 because it has 0 elastic potential when it hasn't been compressed yet. And so we'll move the kinetic energy over to the other side. So we'll have 1/2 mv squared initial, and that should be equal to 1/2 kx squared final. We'll go ahead and take out those 1/2s because we'll just multiply both sides by 2. And then we're going to take our final velocity here from the collision, because that was the final velocity after the collision. And we're going to go ahead and put that right inside my velocity right here. And so we'll end up with an equation that looks like this. Ta-da! And you'll notice that I did put 2m in for the mass because it's both the ball and the block that are stuck together moving now. So that's going to be important. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide by the k, and then I'm going to square root the x squared. And so it'll end up looking like this right here. Yippee-ki-yo-ki-yay! And you'll notice that I do end up with, if I want to do a little bit of simplification here, I see a square root of 2 here, and I see another square root of 2 there. So that's going to end up being the square root of 4, which is 2. That's going to cancel out with my 1/2 here. So my final answer will likely look something a little bit more like that. Final position will equal the square root of m over k lg 1 minus cosine of theta. And we're done. Yep, it's messy, but you know what? Get over it. And that's it for today. So I hope you're able to figure that out. Lots of good energy and momentum and some SHM up here as well. All right, there we go. See you next time.